Happy Thanksgiving to our loyal listeners. Like you, the FAIRtax Guys are enjoying time with family and friends to reflect on the blessings of life in the United States. So we are replaying one of our favorite episodes, the FAIRtax Help Line, originally published in June of this year. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode. So until then, please enjoy the FAIRtax Help Line.
Hello, welcome again to FAIRtax Power Radio. I'm Bob Paxton.
And I'm Ron Molero.
And we are
the FAIRtax Guys.
As usual, inviting you to get in touch with us with our email address, thefairtaxguys@gmail.com, or to like us on our Facebook page, the FAIRtax Guys. Look us up there on Facebook. Leave us a question or a comment about the fair tax. We'll be happy to get back to you.
Yeah, and we get some great questions, and actually we get some information from some of our listeners too. They turn us on to certain news reports or things pertaining to the tax code and tax reform. So keep it up because it's really helpful.
And also invite you to keep an eye out for when our next Facebook Live event is going to be. We just did one about a week ago, and we'll be doing another one here before too much longer. We'll announce the exact date and time here shortly on FAIRtax Power Radio.
Right.
Hope you can join us here for our Facebook Live event as well.
That's always a lot of fun when we do that. The time goes so fast, but it's interactive. I mean, when you're on Facebook and when you watch the video, you can type in questions, and we respond to them live.
Yeah, we'll call your name out on worldwide internet.
That's right. Because after all, we are really the world famous FAIRtax Guys.
Absolutely. Well, I tell you, the world famous FAIRtax Guys. We've got something a little bit different today.
Yeah.
I got a note from the boss that says we have been volunteered for helpline duty. Now, I'm not sure what helpline duty is. I think we're going to have to answer the phone.
Well,
and see what kind of questions folks might be trying to ask us today.
Yep, the scenario is the fair tax is the law of the land now.
Oh, yes, that's good.
Yep, and and we've got to help people out because there's going to be some questions about certain things about it. So we are manning, as Bob said, the FAIRtax Help Line, and we've got these various people calling in with these questions, and these are going to be questions that come up when we totally switch from an income tax to a consumption tax, and you can see these things coming up.
All right, you ready for this?
Yeah, sure.
All right, well, let's
go.
Let's watch the little button there. Oh, wait a minute. Here comes a call in right now. Hello, FAIRtax Help Line.
Hey, y'all. I got a question for you here. I've been trying to call that IRS thingy about my income tax, but all I keep getting when I call the number is a recorded message saying this number's no longer in service. Can you give me the new number for the IRS, please?
Well, sir, I can give you the answer to the IRS number question. The new number for the IRS is 0 because there is no more IRS.
That's right. The IRS is gone. Hallelujah. Because under the fair tax now, we don't have an income tax. The income tax is gone. And we have a sales tax, which is automatically collected at the cash register or when you write out a check and so forth and pay a service organization. IRS is no longer needed. Their services are no longer required, and so they're gone. So forget about calling the IRS because they ain't there anymore.
Oh, hang on. Here comes another call in. Hello, FAIRtax Help Line.
Hello. I've just returned from overseas, and I've been living there for a few years, and I've heard a lot of people say that the tax forms have changed and all. So I just wanted to know if what receipts I need to keep and just for how long.
Okay, well, you'll be happy to know that while you were gone, we had some really positive changes here in the good old US of A, and you don't have to keep any receipts unless you want to. But as far as the income tax is gone. Hallelujah. No more income tax, no more IRS, no more tax returns. So don't worry about receipts unless you want to keep them for your own personal reasons. But as far as the tax return goes, that's a bygone era, and hopefully we'll never, ever see it again.
Oh, well, here comes another call. Hello, FAIRtax Help Line.
Hey, how you doing? Hey, it's Sonny here. Hey, I got a question for you. My neighbor is bragging that he's not going to send his tax return in to the IRS this year, and he has no intention of reporting his income, any of it. Does you think I can report this guy?
Do you know that guy? His voice is familiar. I think I've heard him somewhere. Didn't he call into one of our Facebook Live things? Didn't he show up with there?
Yeah. Actually, he was here live and in person, so I'm glad he's still with us. Sonny, you know what? I'm not going to report my income this year either. What do you think of that?
Oh, mercy! No,
the point is, we don't have to. We don't have to. Your friend is totally right. Forget about reporting income. Forget about the IRS. You don't have to do any of that because we now have the FAIRtax, which is a sales tax. All right?
Yes, it's collected when you buy things, and you don't have to fill in a tax return to pay a sales tax. It's that simple.
Yep. So your individual, the friend there is totally within his rights. There is nothing to report. I'm glad to report to you. So forget about the income tax. Forget about reporting your income.
You mean forget about it, right? Talk to him in language he'd understand.
So forget about sending all that personal information to the IRS. That's a thing of the past, and we are well beyond that. Thanks for the call.
Hello, FAIRtax Help Line.
Yeah, I wonder if y'all can help me a little bit here. I keep getting this check from the government every month, and I'm not sure where it's coming from, but I'm afraid it might be, some kind of mistake, and I might have to pay it back. Can you explain to me what's happening here with this? I think they call it a prebate or something like that.
Well, that's a first. I don't think I've ever heard anybody complain about getting a check from the government before.
Well, it goes to show you what people think of the government. They don't want to get in trouble.
Oh, mercy. Well, you're right. You do have that right, sir. It is a prebate, and what that is a tax refund that you are getting back that was collected from you at the cash register that you don't owe.
Yep.
You see, you do not owe any fair tax at all until your spending rises above the poverty level. But since there's no way that we're going to be able to keep track of how much you spend and to know when you cross that threshold, we just collect the fair tax from you on every qualifying purchase that you make and then refund back to you the tax that you don't owe. Because we know how much the tax you'll pay on your spending up to the poverty level, and you're just getting back your own money on this prebate thing.
Yep. The technical name is the family consumption allowance because that's what it takes care of. You are allowed to spend money on the basic necessities for your family without having to worry about paying taxes on it. That's as simple as that. It makes so much more sense than what we used to have under the other system.
Okay. Hope that answers your question.
I hope that helps. Yep.
Oh, here comes another one. Hello, FAIRtax Help Line.
They didn't take any Social Security or Medicare out of my paycheck. Are those programs gone now?
No, ma'am. Those programs are not gone. In fact, they're being funded better than they ever have been. All right. The reason they're not taken out of your paycheck is because there is no more income tax. The income tax is gone. We now have the FAIRtax, which is a sales tax. And every time you go to the store, you buy something, you write a check to the plumber or something like that, the FAIRtax is collected, and with the FAIRtax is the funding for Social Security and Medicare. So Social Security and Medicare is on a better financial basis or foundation than it ever has been before. Those programs will be protected for decades, if not centuries. So,
yeah, so don't worry. Those programs are not going away.
No.
As Ron mentioned, they have been strengthened, actually, because the tax base of people supporting them has been expanded rapidly, or expanded by a pretty good amount. And so those programs will not go away. They are going to be better funded and more stable. You don't have to worry about losing your Social Security or your Medicare. Thanks for the call. Hello, FAIRtax Help Line.
I've looked everywhere for this year's 1040 forms and their instructions, but even the library doesn't have them. Can you tell me where I can find them?
Well, I'm pleased to report that you can find those forms in the museum, probably in the Chamber of Horrors. Anyways, no, you're not going to find
those. Scrap heap of history is a good place to look as well.
Yeah, exactly. No, ain't no more income tax forms. There's no more income tax. There's no more IRS, and there's no more reporting of your income. So you're not going to find those forms anywhere because you're not required to report your income to the government and all that folderol that goes with it. All right. So the income tax is gone. The FAIRtax is in its place. When you go to the store, you pay the tax to the federal government just when you purchase things, products or services, new products or services. So, yep, you can stop looking for those forms because you're not going to find them.
Oh, we're getting some pretty interesting calls here today, don't you think?
Yep.
we ought to. I don't know. We ought to volunteer for this a little more often. Who knows? But
yeah, that would be a good idea.
Oh, wait a minute. That phone's ringing again. Oh. Hello, FAIRtax Help Line.
One of my buddies at work told me not to apply for a better job because it'll mess up my prebate. Is that true?
Absolutely not. The prebate is not dependent upon how much money you make or how you make it or anything of that. The prebate is simply dependent upon the size of your household because it is dependent on what is the poverty level for your household. Of course, it takes more to raise 5 kids than 2. So the bigger your family, the higher your poverty level, which means the more prebate you get. So no, it has absolutely nothing to do with what your job is, how much money you make, or anything of the like. As long as your household size does not change, your prebate does not change. But if you have another dependent, if you have another child, or if one goes out on the road, no longer lives with you, if the size of your household changes, that changes your prebate, but nothing else.
So never be afraid to take a better job or maybe take an extra job. All right? You are free to produce as much as you want, and you won't be penalized.
Okay, thank you for your call. Hello, FAIRtax Help Line.
Hello? Is this the helpline? It is? Okay. Well, listen, you don't know my brother-in-law, do you? Well, I tell you what, he's one of the craziest varmints I've ever seen, and he is all after me. He wants to buy my car, and I'm fixing just to sell it to him to get him off my back. He's just so much trouble to deal with. And my question for you here is, if I sell that varmint my car, do I have to collect that fair tax and send it in?
Oh, mercy. We get all kinds here on the phone today, don't we, Ron?
Yeah.
I'll let you answer that question. Go.
Okay. Well, I am pleased to report to you that you don't have to do anything like that. For one thing, if you're selling your car to somebody else, your car is now a used car. Used products are not subject to the fair tax. Only new products and services are subject to the fair tax. So, no, you do not have to collect the fair tax and send it in. You just sell your used car to whoever you want, and you don't have to worry about it. Now, if there's something about a state sales tax, you need to pay attention to that. But as far as the federal fair tax goes, forget about it. You don't have any worry about that. So, nope, don't worry about it. Don't even concern yourself about it.
Well, and good luck with your brother-in-law, by the way. He sounds like a real character.
Yeah, good luck.
Oh, here comes another call. Man, it's busy today. Hello, FAIRtax Help Line.
I bought a used guitar at a pawn shop the other day, and they didn't charge me any sales tax. Am I in any trouble? Did they do the right thing?
Well, actually, the answer to this question is the same as it was to the last caller. If you buy a used product, doesn't matter whether you buy it from a pawn shop or from your brother-in-law, there is no fair tax on any used goods. Under the fair tax, it is applied only to the retail purchase of new goods and services. So if you want to save yourself some money, buy used.
Yep, that's
right. So,
yeah,
you didn't do anything wrong. The pawn shop didn't either. There is no fair tax on used goods.
That's right. And just think of how that's going to be encouraging people to buy used products, and it's going to be good for the environment, too. That's a nice thing. So another huge advantage of the fair tax. No fair tax collected on used products.
Oh, yeah. So that gives you just another way that you can control your own tax burden. By your buying decisions, you decide to buy used versus new, then you don't pay any tax. If you want to pay the tax more, then buy new stuff. If you want to pay less tax, buy used stuff. It's that simple.
Right. You are totally in control.
Oh, here comes another one. Hang on.
Okay.
Hello, FAIRtax Help Line.
Hello, the helpline. Listen, I need some help big here because you ain't going to believe this. That evil mother-in-law of mine is threatening to move in with me. She done says she's going to bring her suitcase over by here this afternoon. She's going to be coming to live with us, and the evil woman, I tell you what, you wouldn't believe some of the things she does. But I don't want her around, but there ain't a whole lot I can do about it. My wife says I have to do this, but can I at least get something good out of this thing by being able to claim her as a dependent on my income tax? Please tell me I can.
Well, bud, I've got some good news and some bad news for you. The bad news, no, you cannot claim your mother-in-law as a dependent on your income tax. The good news, there is no more income tax to report dependents on.
Yeah.
Mercy.
Does that work for you?
I hope so.
Now, if your mother-in-law moves in, if she's like getting a retirement check or something like that, if she's independent and she just happens to be moving in with you and using your address, then she is a totally separate entity. She's like a family of one. And because I'm talking about the prebate here, the prebate is dependent on the size of your household. So if you and your wife and your kids and so forth are one family, and your mother-in-law is considered a separate family, just happen to have the same address, then she will have her own prebate too. However, if the other scenario is if your mother-in-law is considered part of your family, okay? First off, you don't have to report any income. Forget about that. No more reporting of income. Put it out of your mind, okay? But if she's kind of dependent on you and she's a part of your family, then you get to increase your prebate because you'll increase it from whatever number it is now plus 1. And the prebate, which is technically called the family consumption allowance, is only dependent on the number of people in your household. That's all it is. All right? No more worries about income or anything else, and you don't have to claim her. I guess when you talk about claiming her as whether she's on your prebate schedule or she's on her own prebate schedule, but that'll work its way out.
Something tells me this guy's going to want to keep her on her own schedule. Doesn't really want to do
It does sound like that, and I certainly hope he resolves his issue with his mother-in-law.
Oh, absolutely, yes. But that's it. Your prebate is based on your household size. And that's it. So hopefully that answers the question for you.
Are
we having fun here doing this?
This is good. It's bringing out a lot of information about the FAIRtax.
I'm amazed at how many different questions we're getting. Because the FAIRtax is new. People do have questions about it.
That's right.
And looks like we got another one here. Hang on.
Oh.
Hello, FAIRtax Help Line.
Can you help me? I'm at wit's end here. I'm trying to get my taxes done for the year, and I'm looking for that software that I always buy to help me do my taxes. And I've looked all over the place on their websites and so forth. I can't find that tax software preparation, tax preparation. See, I'm so nervous about this. That tax preparation software anywhere. Can you tell me where to buy that?
Okay, well, calm down, sir. It's not a problem here. There is no more tax preparation software. So you don't have to buy it this year because there is no more income tax. The FAIRtax has replaced the income tax entirely. There are no tax returns to file, no receipts to keep. All you do to pay your federal taxes is buy things, you pay it at the cash register, and that's it. So there is no more tax preparation software to be had, ever.
Just think of all the time you're going to save. You can keep receipts if you want to, but you don't have to keep receipts because you have to do an income tax return, because there is no income tax and there is no income tax return and there is no IRS to send it to. All right. We are in the era of the FAIRtax now. So life is going to be a lot simpler for you. Forget about buying the software. Forget about submitting an income tax return. April 15th is just another spring day. There's nothing to worry about there. Taxes are automatically paid when you go to the store and you buy something, or when you write a check and make a payment for a service. So you're like the plumber or the electrician or something like that. So it's an easier day. It's a easier day in the neighborhood, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. It's amazing to me, though, how many people still have this income tax kind of mindset. We've had this thing for so long, and we have finally got rid of it, replaced it with a FAIRtax, and I guess it's just going to take a while for people to get it in their heads that the income tax is gone, the IRS is gone, all the hassle that was associated with that is gone. You get to bring home your full amount of your paycheck. No more IRS, no more IRS audits, no more civil asset forfeitures because the IRS thinks you're trying to skirt the thing. It's such a better system now, and I really don't think it's going to take people too long to catch on to how it is, but I guess there's going to be a little bit of a transition period, and we're here to help.
That's right, because unfortunately, for their entire lives, all they knew in terms of taxation was the income tax. So, but you're right. It's not going to take too long for them to transition to this much, much better system.
Oh, wait a minute. Looks like we got another question.
Okay.
Hello, FAIRtax Help Line.
Good evening. Listen, I just woke up from a little short, about a 50-year nap here, and I've been turning it on the TV set, and I love to see them stories about how the IRS abuses people. And I haven't seen any of those IRS abuse stories lately. Can you tell me what happened? Have them IRS folks been bought off?
Well, no, sir. The IRS folks have not all been bought off. They have just heard that phrase that our president used to be very well known for, you're fired.
Yeah. There is no IRS. I'm sorry that you took delight out of seeing the misery caused by the IRS amongst the populace, but that's not happening anymore. They've been fired. The IRS has been eliminated because we don't have an income tax anymore. So if we don't have an income tax, we don't need the IRS. We have, now that you're awake again, welcome to the era of the fair tax. The fair tax is a sales tax. I'm sure you were familiar with some sales taxes before you went to sleep. What do you think about this, Bob? 50-year nap? You buying this?
Oh, well, I must be pretty tired. Sometimes I feel like I could take one of those.
Yeah, I think,
especially around April the 15th when you just pulling your hair out trying to get your income tax done, and now you don't have to do it anymore.
Yeah, I think, we may be getting in the area of crank calls here, but it still serves to as an example, all right?
Oh, hang on. Here comes another one.
Oh.
Hello, FAIRtax Help Line.
Hi. I hear that when you're filling out your tax forms that most people use the standard deduction. Can you tell me what that figure is for this year?
Well, ma'am, I'm glad to report that the standard deduction is gone because the income tax is gone. You don't have to fill out tax forms, and there will be no standard deduction. Actually, if you want to think of the family consumption allowance as a deduction, it's automatically done by all you have to do is report the number of people in your household and their Social Security numbers, and you'll get the prebate, which is the nickname, and you can think of that as your standard deduction, okay?
The standard deduction means that not all of your income was subject to taxation.
Yeah.
And the family consumption allowance under this fair tax that we've got now says that not all of your spending is subject to taxation.
That's right.
But even though it's collected from you at the cash register, it's given back to you in the form of this prebate. So you don't take anything out of your pocket until your spending rises above the poverty level. And that works a lot better than the old system.
Yeah, so don't worry about filling out any forms. Don't worry about the income tax. Don't worry about April 15th. And don't worry about the IRS. All that stuff is a thing of the past. And we have escaped that era into a much better time. When you go to the store and you pay for something, you're paying your taxes. That's it. And your prebate, once you report your family size and to the federal government, you'll get your family consumption allowance automatically every month. So, welcome to the fair tax.
This was a fun stint here on the help desk. The boss is waving at me through the window and says, our time is up. We can't take any more phone calls.
Oh.
But I tell you, that was an interesting experience talking to some of those folks, don't you think?
Yes, it was. I mean, there's quite a mix of people across this great country of ours.
Amen.
And we saw quite a few of them, or we heard from quite a few of them today.
All right. Well, if you would like to make that scenario that we've been playing with for the past little bit here on FTPR, make that actually happen, then you need to get involved and help get the fair tax actually passed.
Yeah.
It's really nice to dream of a land where there is no income tax, that the fair tax is the law of the land. That's not going to happen without some grassroots activism, and we need you to help us out.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a number of ways you can do it. If you want to learn more about the fair tax, well, listen to our podcasts. We put out a brand new podcast every Friday morning on Spreaker.com, or it's on iTunes. It's also on iHeartRadio. You can also go to FAIRtax.org and learn more about the fair tax. And we encourage you to get involved by going to BigSolution.org. Big Solution singular, BigSolution.org. And that's where you're going to be able to connect with the Americans for Fair Taxation, support them, help them build their database, contribute. And to be totally crass about it, we really do need your contributions. We've got a lot of work to do. We've got Congress is grappling with tax reform, and we've got to get some more research done. We've got to get our bill. It is a bill in Congress, H.R. 25. We've got to get that scored so we can show Congress exactly how the fair tax is, one, going to fund the government, and two, help grow the economy.
Okay, I'll tell you what, one thing you can really do would be to volunteer with your local FAIRtax association. Here in Florida, we've got a very vibrant FFTEA, Florida FAIRtax Educational Association. We do have chapters in just about every state. So we do need your membership at the national level, Americans for Fair Taxation. You can get that through the bigsolution.org contribute thing. But volunteer with your state organization as well. Find out, if you don't know who your state organization head people is, give us a call here, or write us a note on our FAIRtax, the FAIRtax Guys, gmail.com. We'll get that information back to you. Or you can ask us again through our Facebook page.
That's right.
So,
yep.
Man,
Facebook. Yep. The
answering all those calls is
Facebook.
Messing with my mind here a little bit.
And you can go to fairtax.org, too, and they have some of the local organizations listed there. There's all kinds of ways you can get help, but we encourage you to get involved with this, because unless you want to spend the rest of your life under the thumb of the income tax and the IRS, we need your help to get out from under the thumb and get this fair tax passed. It is possible. Yep, it's an uphill climb, but it is possible, and it's going to be more possible with your help.
There are a couple of ways online that you can help, too. We've mentioned this on FTPR before, the POPVOX, POPVOX site.
Yeah.
Is where you can go in and weigh in on not just the fair tax, but any proposal that's in front of Congress now, and tell them why you like it or why you dislike it. But if you call it, and all of the Congress critters, Ron, as you call them, they do have staff that keeps up with PopVox.
Yeah, that's right.
Your voice will be heard if you go to PopVox. You give it your address so it knows what the congressional district you're in, so where to direct your comments to the right people. But they will get to the right people. And also the whitehouse.gov site has got a contact place as well. You can tell the president, we've been trying to get a hold of him and get his ear. As a businessman, I'm sure once it's fully explained to him, the president will understand what a great thing the fair tax is.
That's whitehouse.gov/contact.
Yes, but
you can send a note directly to the president.
Yeah, the more he hears from the grassroots, the better chance we have of getting the fair tax passed. And of
Very
course,
important.
Always remember to tune in FAIRtax Power Radio every week. We've got the free app for both Android and iPhone, and we're everywhere. Spreaker is our main platform, but we're on iHeartRadio. We're on
iTunes.
Yeah, you set all that up, so you'll have to tell them where it is. But,
so, and also
and check out the interactive webinar once a month. Let's get that in for your wife decides to shoot you.
Yeah, the webinar.
She's heavily involved in that.
It's generally the fourth Thursday in the evening at 8 o'clock. It's totally free, but you have to register in advance by going to fairtax.org/webinar. And that's another way to learn about the fair tax. And it's interactive. It's live and interactive. Generally, Larry and Mark from Orlando, they've been doing this for 9 years now, and they generally go over a brief review of the fair tax, what it is. Then they stop and they take questions from the audience, and then they have a special topic. Like how will it affect seniors? How are we going to transition to the fair tax? Something like that. And it's very informative. It's once a month. Generally the fourth Thursday. So again, go to fairtax.org/webinar and you can register for the next one coming up.
And real quickly, you can help the fair tax on a financial basis just by shopping. If you do a lot of online shopping, you usually jump on somebody's website, you order something, and you get it. If you use FAIRtaxRewards.com, set up an account there, and just use that as your launching off point to get to the websites you'd go to anyway, then you get a little bit back, and the fair tax gets a little bit as well if you'd use FAIRtaxRewards.com. Check that out, okay?
It's a great way to do it.
Absolutely. Well, we're out of time now, and all out of helpline calls. Again, thank you for listening to FAIRtax Power Radio, the FAIRtax Guys at gmail.com. Or check out our Facebook page. Until we meet again, I'm Bob Paxton.
And I'm Ron Malero.
The FAIRtax Guys, reminding you that the fair tax is America's big solution. And once you understand it,
you'll demand it.
Fair tax is coming. Don't stand in the way. Fair tax is coming across the USA. Fair tax is coming. Pero